Alright, so let's talk about JavaScript. Someone else joining. Here you go, Maxim. So I think now we're complete. So we already know what JavaScript is. JavaScript is a programming language. It's very popular, very powerful as well. So today I would like to present some basic coding structures, data types, functions, and all these sort of things. Yeah? The first question we should ask ourselves whenever we want to start playing with JavaScript is where can I experiment? Of course, if you get a React application, technically speaking, guys, this is JavaScript. Yeah. So what you've seen this morning, which is about building React components, at the end of the day, that's JavaScript. So we could do our testing and our exercises using a React application. However, I think there is a slightly easier way to practice with JavaScript. Historically speaking, if you watch any workshops about JavaScript in the past that we have recorded, you may notice that we, in the past, again, we used to play with DevTools. You remember yesterday I presented you DevTools, yes, to prototype HTML, CSS, and things like that. With DevTools, we can play with JavaScript as well. However, this time I'm not gonna use DevTools, and the reason is I love DevTools. I think it's fantastic. However, when talking about JavaScript, it fails a lot. Yeah. Sometimes you execute an algorithm, it returns something. You execute it again, it returns something else, and then you say, "What the hell? I haven't changed anything." When talking about debugging and adding breakpoints, which is something that we'll intensively cover in this bootcamp, everything gets just worse. Yeah. So, long story short, DevTools is not reliable enough when talking about JavaScript, and because of that, I would like to use a different approach. I would like to use VS Code, which sounds natural to me. If we create our React applications using VS Code, why can't we play around with JavaScript using VS Code too? So that's what I would like to present you today. So let me show you the way I personally play with JavaScript. Whenever I want to play around a given technique or I want to experiment a bit, things like that, what I do is I open any project. It could be a React project, it could be something else. It doesn't really matter. And I create a new file in my root directory. So anywhere here, right click, new file, and then you give a name to the file. For instance, I'm gonna call it playground.javascript. Remember, guys, this file is completely unrelated to the project you are working with. So for instance, in my particular case, I'm playing with a project called Cool People. However, this file is completely unrelated. It's just for my own testing purposes. So once you got that, you can start writing some JavaScript. So for instance, let me present you an example. Let me type console.log. So console.log is a way to output messages in the console of your environment. So if I type console.log hello people, yes, something like that. Now let's see how can we evaluate that. How can we run that piece of code? So from the top menu of VS Code, you have an entry called run, and then just pay attention to something called run without debugging. So when you click on run without debugging, then you get some sort of pop-up asking you where do you want to run this snippet. Interestingly enough, we got Chrome and Node. In other words, VS Code is asking you, do you want to run this snippet in the front end using a web browser, or do you want to run it in the backend using Node.js? Yeah. So for simplicity reasons, let me select Node. And once I select Node, you see at the bottom, I get the hello people message. Of course, you can play the snippet as many times as you want. So if I add extra exclamation marks, then I can play it again, run without debugging. I select Node.js, and then you got the updated version on the debug console. So that's the way I like to play with JavaScript. However, to me, this is far from being ideal because of multiple reasons. First of all, do I really need to go to run and run without debugging and all of these things? I mean, that's exhausting. I don't want to do any of that. I would like to use a shortcut. Thankfully, guys, when you select run, and then if you pay attention, when you hover run without debugging, you don't even have to hover it actually, on the right hand side of the menu, you can get access to the shortcut. In my case, it's Command Enter. So in my particular case, if I press Command Enter and then I select Node, then pop, you see I got the result at the bottom, which is, slightly easier because I don't need to open the menu and then clicking on the right option all the time. So that's, from a productivity point of view, a small improvement. In my case, as I said, the shortcut is Command Enter. I'm not sure if that's the default, I'm completely honest with you now, or this is because I manually changed the shortcut. I think Command Enter on Macs and Control Enter on Windows machines is some sort of de facto standard mechanism towards running scripts. If you get a different shortcut, or if you don't get any shortcut at all, with Visual Studio you can customize your shortcuts, which is great. The way you customize your shortcuts is you go to Code, and then let me find out Preferences, I believe, and here you go. You see Keyboard Shortcuts. So when you select Keyboard Shortcuts, then you can essentially find the action you want to trigger. So I think this one is called something like run code. Yes, you see, you type run code in the search bar, and that will show you that code runner.run. That's, I think, the shortcut for running code snippets. So, if you want to change it, you click on the pencil on the left hand side, and then you enter your preferred shortcut. Yeah, something like that. If you get any difficulties setting up your shortcut, just let me know. But that's the first thing. Yeah, that simplifies the process a bit. And then, guys, if I want to run the snippets using the backend, because if I select the front end, I think that will open a web browser, and I don't know. We need to set up some stuff here. So I think, at least as a starting point, it's much easier just to use the backend. You see, now I selected the browser and then I cannot run it again, interestingly enough. So this is because sometimes you see VS Code has created some default config. The thing is, when you select the browser, VS Code has prepared some sort of config for you. As you can see, that config, which is partially created, will eventually run our snippets using Google Chrome. I don't want to do that because, as I said, I would like to use Node. So something I will do after this session is I'm gonna share with you the file or the setup that you need in your project in order to run snippets using Node.js. I'm gonna paste it because I got it saved somewhere. It's just a simple file. Actually, I'm sharing with you on Slack literally right now. So once again, I'll show you how to deal with that. Let me paste that snippet on Slack. So yes, give me a second. Yeah. So you got the snippet, you got the config on Slack. So what you need to do is you have to create a new folder in your root project called .vscode. Pay attention to the initial dot. Inside of that file, inside of that folder, you create a file called launch.json, and then you paste the content that I have shared with you on Slack. Once you do that, hopefully, next time I run my snippet, I should get the output you see at the bottom straight away. So I don't get any noisy pop-up window alert, none of that anymore, right? And to me, this is the best way to play with JavaScript. Any questions? No, you see, I've invested some minutes of my life making sure the setup satisfies my expectation, and that, guys, will pay off quickly. So I strongly recommend you to follow the same steps, because from now on it's going to be much easier to play with JavaScript. Let's play with some examples, actually. Can anyone tell me how can I create a variable in JavaScript? Let, correct? So the syntax is let, for instance, message, name, whatever, welcome to JavaScript, yeah? So that's a variable called message, so I can now do console.log message, and that will output welcome to JavaScript, as you can see at the bottom of my screen. So can you tell me what type of data message is? That's a string. That's correct. That's a string. Yeah. What if I got another string called name equals Peter? And now the question is, on the console log, the message I want to display is something like welcome to JavaScript Peter. Can anyone tell me how to solve the problem? Sorry, is it name of so what do I have to type? Name, yeah, but if I guys, if I do a console log of the name, that will be just Peter, right? As you can see, I want to get the whole sentence. Welcome to JavaScript Peter. I want to combine both strings. And how do I do that? How can I concatenate a string? Plus, all right, so something like that, message plus name. That a third. I could create a new variable, definitely, but I can also, for simplicity reasons, I can display everything inline. And I think Vicky was complaining about the space. Look at what happened if I later on. Yeah. So first of all, look at the output, guys. You see, welcome to JavaScript, and then no space at all, and then Peter. So technically speaking, with a plus symbol, we can concatenate the strings, which is nice. However, from a user point of view, you know, that message is a bit weird, right? We're humans. We used to separate our words with spaces. So can anyone tell me how to add a space separating message and name? Quotes? Like that? Single quotes or double quotes? Why single? No, don't. You see? Nice one, Maxime. You see the difference? You see the difference, guys? Because saying it doesn't matter, and well, technically speaking, we could use both. We could use single quotes or double quotes. Yeah, that's fine. However, according to Airbnb style guide, we should use single quotes. And because we want to write a standard JavaScript, blah 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 blah, let's leave it with single quotes. Yeah, and as you can see now at the bottom, my message, remains readable enough. Any questions so far? No? So that's the classic way of joining, concatenating strings or messages, text in JavaScript, right? Let me show you something. Starting from 2015, now there is a slightly simpler way to resolve the same problem. I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to solve the problem again using a different technique, as someone suggested. So that technique is called string interpolation. And string interpolation is essentially using backticks. A backtick is a weird character that you may have not used at all before. if you have a Windows keyboard, that character is on your top left corner. If you have a Mac, that character is at the bottom left. So the idea is, look at the syntax, because it takes a bit to get used to it. It's probably not extremely natural, but it will happen eventually. So using backticks, we can display any variables with the following syntax: dollar and then curly braces, and inside of the curly braces you put your variables. Then you can hardcode whatever you want. You can see that VS Code is quite good playing with the color schemes. So for instance, if the text is in orange color, that means this is hard-coded. If the text is in blue color, that means it's a variable and it will be evaluated. So you see, line number 4 is equivalent to line number 5. So if I execute this algorithm, as you can see, we got the same message twice. The second approach, string interpolation, is, or also called, you may have heard about it as, or template literals, yeah? Depending on where you find it. So using the second approach, regardless of how you refer to it, is considered a better technique because it simplifies the process of concatenating variables with hard-coded message. Imagine that because of whatever reason I want to do something a bit weird, like adding some hashes, then a message, then the name, and then some underscore, something weird, something like that. Don't ask me why I want to do that, but imagine that I want to do that. So using template literals, I hope you agree with me that everything, the code becomes a bit simpler. The outcome should be exactly the same, as you can see, but the second technique, it's easier to deal with, and it's harder to mess around with it, because with the first one, you see, you need to use the plus symbol all the time. You know, it's just easier to fail and to build something unexpected. Any questions? Yes, string interpolation, so that's a generic technique in coding, but when talking about JavaScript, I think purely talking about JavaScript, template literals, to me it sounds a bit more, I don't know, standard or common, let's say, yeah. Cool, so that's about the strings, and now I got a new question for you. Can anyone solve this problem? If I go to console.log, the length of the message is, can anyone, or the size, I want to know how many characters the message string has. Dot length, like that? Message dot length, right? Yeah, message dot length. So if you do that, that's correct. So the length property, when applied to a string, it will tell you how many characters Welcome to JavaScript has. I'm not going to count them, but yeah, it says it's 22, so I will trust JavaScript. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, 22 characters are on that string. And now, what if I want to access the first character is, how do I get the first character of my string, of my message string? Fantastic, Lauren. By the way, I thought that was Lauren. If at some point I think it's Lauren, but it's someone else or vice versa, please let me know, yeah? Otherwise I will never get used to your voices. Cool, so nice. So Lauren is right, guys. You see, with the square bracket notation, we can access a particular character of the string. So, you see, the first character is capital W. So humans, we tend to count starting at 1, yeah? I don't know, what day of the month is today? Is the 5th, right? It's the 5th because the first one was the first. Well, when talking about coding, programming languages, you know, generally speaking, we start counting at 0. Yeah, there are some exceptions, yeah? I'll like to present you some oddities about JavaScript in the future. But generally speaking, JavaScript starts counting at 0. So if I want to get the first character, it will be on the index 0. And now, what if I want to get, rather instead of the first, I want to get the last character of the string? How do we do that? -1, where, here? That's interesting. That's interesting. Look, that's wrong. -1. Okay, so you want me to pass message.length -1 inside of the brackets? Why -1, guys? Yeah, I think Lauren is completely right, guys. Let's simplify the string. Instead of welcome to JavaScript, let's say hello. Yeah. So hello has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 characters. 5 characters. The thing is, visually speaking, we can easily identify that the last one is O. Yeah. But because we start counting at 0, and we got 5 characters, so the capital H will be index 0, E will be index 1, first L will be index 2, second L will be index 3, and then finally the O will be index 4. Because this string has 5 characters, the last one will be at index 4. In other words, length of the string, and then as Lauren said, -1. And that will return O, as you can see here. Any questions? No? Okay, cool. Let's talk about functions, guys. So at the moment, I'm writing everything here. It's all good. It's all good. But in JavaScript, we can create functions. Actually, JavaScript is considered a functional programming language. And the reason is we tend to create functions all the time. So a function is a piece of code that we can invoke as many times as we want, and it has an input and it has an output. So I'm going to create a function called getLastCharacter. Yeah, it will receive a string, whatever the string is, and it will return. Oh, sorry guys, I pressed something. Sorry. Yeah, I will return string.length. Sorry, a string of string.length -1, which is pretty much what we've done here. So now, look at what we can do. We can invoke that function. Actually, interestingly enough, my keyboard stopped working. Oh no, that's a bit weird. Oh, what's going on? I cannot, guys. I cannot. I cannot select code anymore. This is just gonna make everything more complicated. Anyway, I'll try to I'll try to code without the ability of selecting code. That never happened to me before. Anyway, so if I got get last character and then let me. Oh, this is very complicated actually. But anyway, so if I got get last character and then I pass hello, that will return small o. As you can see, if I call it again, passing a different string like welcome, that will return small e. You see, I got both results displayed in parallel. So that's essentially a function. A function is a piece of functionality that we can execute. So whenever we execute it, it will return something. So what's the input of get last character? Is the string. Yeah, the string may be different. In the first use case scenario, the string is hello. The second time I call the function, the string is welcome. And then the function will return something, will generate some output. So what's the output? Obviously, it depends on the input. If the input is hello, the output is small o. If the input is welcome, the output is small e, and so on. Yeah, so that's the way a function works. Do you have any questions, guys? No, if you got any question, it's now a good opportunity. I'm trying to deal with my issues. Once again, I don't know what's going on, but let me reopen VS Code as usual, guys. You know, restarting the IDE, restarting the software you're using. Hopefully, will solve the problem. Yeah. So that's a different project. So let me try to move Windows a bit. And also, guys, don't forget that the problems may happen. Yeah, even if you are running as part of a job interview, you may have unexpected problems. What the hell happened on my laptop? I couldn't select text anymore. I have no idea. But these things may happen. So you need to have a strategy and try to, especially to communicate as much as possible with the employer. Because in this particular case, it was pretty obvious that something wrong happened with my laptop. But in other use cases scenarios, that may not be that obvious, and the employer may get the feeling that you don't know what's going on and you don't know how to control the situation. Yeah. So as you can see now, just by restarting VS Code, I can select text again. So hopefully that will simplify my next steps. So that's a function, guys. Get last character. Let me create a new function called sum. So the idea is I'm gonna pass two numbers, number A and number B, and then unsurprisingly my function will return A plus B. Yeah, so that's another example of how to use functions, where rather than receiving one argument, they receive two arguments instead. You see, I call sum with number 5 and number 4, and that will obviously return number 9, as you can see at the bottom of my screen. So long story short, functions can return whatever, and they can receive whatever. So there is a lot of flexibility when talking about functions. So how many arguments the sum function receives? That's 2. That's correct. 2 arguments. What type of data these arguments are? Numbers. That's correct. That's absolutely correct. Numbers. And then what type of data the sum function returns? A number as well. Yeah. So that's pretty fundamental, but it's important. It's important to demonstrate that you got the control on the data flow of your algorithms. So the sum function receives 2 arguments, 2 numbers, and it returns the result of adding them. Yeah. So obviously we could create, as part of any component, we can create multiple functions. So I can create another function called multiply, where I got 2 numbers, and then I can multiply them. So if we add some text for readability purposes, so the result of adding numbers is, and then I can create a new function, the result of multiplying numbers is, let me call multiply, and then 5 by 4 should return 20, as you can see at the bottom of my screen. Yeah. Any questions? No. So we got strings. Yeah. We got numbers. Are you aware of any other data type in JavaScript? Boolean. I like that. Who said that? All right. So it was a group answer. Okay, cool. So Boolean, yeah. So a Boolean is like a switch. When you want to turn the lights are either on or off. A Boolean is like being pregnant. Either you are pregnant or you are not pregnant. You cannot be half pregnant, yeah? So that's essentially what a Boolean is. So for instance, if I create a variable called am I sexy, the possible values are false or true. Yeah, that's a Boolean. And then of course you can display a message at the bottom saying am I sexy, and then you display the message. Yeah, true or false. That's pretty much the way it works. So let me try to run this algorithm. You see, false or true. Within the next few days, we'll evaluate conditional structures with JavaScript. So for instance, we will analyze how to provide a meaningful message to the customer. Like if the customer is sexy, saying yes, congratulations, you are hot or whatever. If the customer is not sexy enough, then we can display a different type of message, whatever. Yeah, maybe the example is not the most appropriate one, but I hope you get the point. Cool. So we got strings, we got numbers. Vicky mentioned arrays. So can you tell me, Vicky, how can I write an array of fruits? Can anyone help Vicky? Square brackets, square brackets. So banana, apple, and orange, yeah? As many as you want, yeah? So arrays represent an unlimited list of elements, yeah? And that's pretty cool because arrays offer a lot of flexibility. Arrays, guys, is, to me, that's a personal thought. Okay? That's a personal thought. But to me, arrays represent the most important data structure in JavaScript. Starting from 2011 and particularly from 2015, many efforts on the JavaScript community have turned around improving the ability of dealing with arrays. To the point, as you will see once you get a better understanding of JavaScript, that regardless of what your data is, at some point, in many occasions, you will be tempted to transform the data into an array. Because with arrays, we can run many complex operations. Let's start with the basics today, at least. So, for instance, I want to have a function called function get list size. So the function will receive an array and then it will return something. So if I call console.log the list, the size of the list is, and then I call get list size passing the array. Yeah, so let's do something like that, you see. So now, can anyone tell me what should I write here on the get list size function? Array.length. Cool. That was Elena, right? Cool, awesome. That's correct, guys. That's correct. Array.length, that will give you the size, the number of elements of your list. Yeah? And that's pretty cool, because if you remember 10 minutes ago, we proved that if we had a string like name equals Peter, yeah, we could also get the name, the size of the string by typing name.length. You see, the structure, the coding style remains the same. If you want to get the number of characters of a string, you do string.length. If you want to get the number of elements of an array, then you do array.length. Yeah? That's the beautifulness of JavaScript. Once you learn how length works, you can apply it on both strings and arrays. Towards the end of the bootcamp, I would like to analyze, to make a deeper analysis about why JavaScript gives you that power and how cool this is. So that's the way it works, array.length. And what if I want to have another method called get first array element? So the first element is, so can anyone tell me how can I get the first element of an array? Ah, nice, Elena. You see, is that technique familiar to any of you? Yeah, we've done that with the strings a minute ago, right? So once again, we got the same, we can follow the same patterns to achieve an equivalent result. And of course, unexpected question now, not unexpected, predictable question. So what if instead of getting the first element of the array, I'm going to get the last one? How do we do that? 2. Wait. That's very interesting, Vicky. That's very interesting. No. Same as -1. Why, Vicky? Why you keep saying -1? That does not. I mean, that doesn't. No. That works in Python. That works in Python, but not in JavaScript. You cannot do -1 here. It's true. Okay. Imagine that you are attending a job interview and they present you this algorithm, and they ask you 2 questions. First of all, question number 1: will the get last array element function work as expected on this particular use case scenario? And then question number 2: can you see any potential problem? But first of all, Lauren, will it work in this particular use case scenario? Will it work? Yeah, but then what happened if I add another fruit called artichoke? That's not a fruit, right? Anyway, pineapple. What if I add a pineapple? We ruined it, guys. You see? What will this function return? Orange. Is the orange the last element of the array? Not anymore. So we broke it. Our function is weak. It's not strong enough to handle different array sizes. So can you tell me how to solve the problem? Yeah, that's correct, Lauren. You see? That's the same as we've been dealing with before. Yeah, array.length will give me the size of the array, 1, 2, 3, 4. But because arrays start counting at index 0, the last one, the pineapple, will be 0, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, which is length of the array 4 minus 1, 3. Any questions? Guys, I would like to get some thoughts from Lauren. People. I mean, they may have been participating, but I'm still struggling a bit with the voices. So, any of the guys who haven't participated much in this session, do you have any thoughts, any questions? Cool, fantastic. Thank you, Lorraine. After this session in 5 minutes, I would like to present you some sort of next steps. I would like to present you the way I would like you to, not you personally, but everybody. I would like to present you the way I would like you to improve or to practice with JavaScript. Yeah. So, guys, we've been talking about strings, booleans, what else? Numbers, arrays. What else? Fantastic, Vicky. That's the last one for today. Objects. So an array is a list of elements, yeah? ABC, list of fruits, list of cities, list of whatever. But objects are a collection of key value pairs. Let me present an example. User. Then you see arrays were represented by square brackets and objects are represented by curly braces or curly brackets. Yeah. And now here I can define a list of key value pairs. For instance, name, Peter, age, 21, email, yeah, whatever. Yeah. So now my question is, can anyone tell me how can I access the name of the user? That's correct. Was that Max? Cool. So user the name, will give me the name of the user. Pay attention to the syntax, guys. This is what we call the dot notation. You see the dot? The dot is a way to access a property of the user. Of course, I can access the name. Let me run it. I can access the age, whatever. What happened if I try to access a property that doesn't exist, that is not part of my user object? What will that display? Undefined. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Undefined is a very important word in JavaScript. Guys, I'm tired of interviewing junior developers telling me it will return nothing. Nothing, no, don't say nothing, say undefined. Yeah? It may imply the same thing, but let's be precise, let's be brilliant, let's be correct. Yeah? Undefined is the keyword here. Fantastic. And now let's try to play a bit of, Frankenstein. Can an object contain another object? So for instance, can we have name and then I got first name Peter and then last name Smith, yeah, for instance. So can anyone tell me how to access the last name of the user? Correct, user.name dot whatever, dot last, for instance. Yeah, that will return Smith, as you can see on my screen. And then, can an object contain an array? Imagine that I want to have a list of places, a list of countries the user has visited within the last year. Wuhan is not a good example, so let's think positive. We got France, we got Italy, and we got Germany, for instance. Yeah. So you get the point, right? So we get an object, the user, and the user contains another sub-object. It contains strings, for instance, the email. It contains numbers, like the age of the user, and it contains a list of countries. So what if I want to display the first country the user has visited is? Can anyone solve this problem for me? Index 0, that's correct. User country 0. You see, user. We are now pointing to the whole object. Dot countries. You see the way we drill down, the way we narrow our search. So user.countries will point to the array of countries, and then index 0 will will highlight the first element of the array. Yeah. Any questions? Cool. So my very last point here is let's combine data structures on the other way around. Rather than having an array inside of an object, let's create an object inside of an array. For instance, let me display a list of countries, and I can do same France, Italy, whatever, yeah, an array of strings. But I can also have an array of countries, like name, France, capital, Paris. You see? Let me fix that. So this is eventually an array of objects. Then we got Germany, capital Berlin. So my final question of the day is, can anybody tell me how to get the capital of the second city in the list? So, can you repeat that, please? What do you think, guys? Do you agree with Lauren? Yeah, that's correct, Lauren. That's correct. Look, countries, we point to the whole array. Index 1, then we narrow our search to the first element, which out of coincidence is an object. So then, because that's an object, we know that using the dot notation, we can access any properties of that object, like for instance the capital. So if we run it, then the algorithm will output ROM. Any questions, guys? No? So I would like to leave it here. I mean, we could spend hours and hours, and we will actually spend hours and hours and hours talking about JavaScript and making things a bit more difficult. But I think it's important to at least have an understanding about the basics, the data structures and the functions. What is a string? What is a boolean? What is a number? What is an array? What is an object? How can we combine them? How to create a function? How to pass argument? How to capture data? How to console data? Yeah. So to me, this is the fundamentals of JavaScript. And once again, I will strongly recommend you to play using VS Code, create a new file, remove it, add stuff, edit it, you know, just play around with it. One last thing, 5 minutes, guys. So I told you before that I would like to show you the way that you should, under our point of view, practice with your JavaScript. Let me actually, yeah, here you go. So guys, this is the Codity platform. I know that some of you are familiar with it. If you don't know what the hell is this, if you go to codity.com, this is a tool that we have created and we are offering for free to the coding community. It's at the moment the most popular coding platform made in Europe by number of active players. And here, as you can see, you can play with your coding skills. Tomorrow you'll be playing a challenge by teams on HTML and CSS. Let me show you how it works. So you select any of the technologies on the left hand side, and then, for instance, you select one of the modules. So we can talk about colors, we can talk about animations, we can talk about whatever you want. And then the idea is to face a series of technical challenges. In this particular use case scenario, we are asking you to build a user interface like this one with some sort of black background and yellow text on top of it, and the user interface should look like that across different devices, tablets, laptops, and smart TVs. Because this is the simplest level of difficulty, is 1 star, lower beginner, technically speaking, we don't even need to do any coding. We just need to select the right answer. On the right hand side, we got a bit of HTML and a bit of CSS, and you got a placeholder. So based on that placeholder, can anyone tell me what is the right option to change the color of my text to yellow? B. D for Denmark, right? Let's mark it and see what happens. So once we select it, if you get confetti time, that means the solution is correct. If by accident or not by accident, if you fail and you choose a wrong option, you will see that it won't work, you won't get confetti time anymore, and on top of that, you'll be able to compare what we expected. We expected the text to be yellow. However, in your case, the text is white, and eventually we present you the diff, where you can see pixel by pixel where you have failed. So for each module, we will present you 5 exercises, and at the end, we are going to give you a score. This score will tell you and will tell us how good your performance was in this particular exercise according to a series of metrics. I would like to talk about this tomorrow after the challenge. But long story short, guys, please start practicing, start training with this platform as soon as possible. The more you practice, the better understanding of JavaScript and friends you'll get. And the more you know JavaScript, the more powerful applications you will build. I don't think I'm talking about anything stupid here. Start with a lower beginner, which is a quiz game, ABCD, and then keep moving through the different difficulty levels. I would like you to have a special attention on the JavaScript. Historically speaking, JavaScript has proved to be the most complicated language for our students. So select JavaScript, start from the basics, and then keep practicing. And if you got any questions, of course, let me know. Starting from tomorrow, fingers crossed, we'll add the most challenging feature we've ever added to Codery, which is the ability of working remotely. So for instance, someone will write some code and I will get access to the code in real time, and we'll be able to share experiences in real time with video and audio. But more on that tomorrow. For now, please start practicing with the platform, and you will see how quickly you progress with your coding skills. Anything else, guys? No? Cool, fantastic. Yeah, let me know if you need any help on the Slack, guys. Apart from that, thank you very much.